talking about the Kalam Cosmological argument. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. This week we'll be taking a look at the last of several alternative theories that have been proposed to try to avoid the implications of the Big Bang, namely that the universe had a beginning. This week, we're taking a look at the Cyclic theory proposed by Dr. Paul Steinhardt. Steinhardt's proposal is based on a whole different model of physics called string theory. Basically, what it says is that the most fundamental building blocks of matter are not particles, but rather one-dimensional vibrating strings of energy. Steinhardt describes his model by asking us to imagine two three-dimensional membranes. Our universe is located on one of those membranes. They exist in a larger five-dimensional reality and are constantly approaching each other, colliding, and then retreating. They've been repeating this cycle over and over again since eternity past. Each new collision reinvigorates the expansion of our membrane, kind of like a tennis racket hitting a tennis ball and sending it flying. Now, according to Steinhardt, because this pattern of collide and retreat has been going on eternally, the universe never had a beginning. This model, while it's gotten some attention from the media, has not been widely accepted by cosmologists for a variety of reasons. For one, it requires an extraordinary amount of what's called fine-tuning in regard to the collision of the membranes. We'll talk more about fine-tuning when we get to the teleological argument for God, but for right now, imagine if you found a biodome on Mars. You walked into the control room and you found dozens of dials, all set to the exact measurements where they had to be set in order to support human life. Now, how would you think they got set that way? Would you think it was all just by random chance? Eventually, the degree of precision becomes so profound that the only rational explanation is that an intelligent mind set them that way on purpose. When it comes to Steinhardt's theory, even when those two membranes are a great distance from each other, they cannot deviate from being parallel by more than 10 to the negative 60th power. That is an unfathomably small margin for error. Steinhardt's model also suffers from many of the same problems as the old oscillating models we saw back in episode 20. He's basically arguing that the singularity at the Big Bang is just a point of collision between those two membranes. The universe still existed prior to that singularity, just existing on one of those membranes before the collision. But this would require the universe to be able to pass through the singularity. Now, just like the old oscillating model suffered because there were no laws of physics that would allow a universe to start expanding again after it contracts, there are also no laws of physics, even in string theory, to allow a universe to pass through a singularity at the end of each cycle to begin a new one. Finally, even if these problems could be overcome, Steinhardt has still not escaped the need for a beginning. In 1994, Arvind Borde and Alexander Vilenkin created a theorem that showed that any model that includes a space-time that expands continually into the future must have begun with an initial singularity at some point in the past. This is true whether we're talking about the chaotic inflationary model of Andre Linde or the cyclic model proposed by Steinhardt. So Steinhardt's model has failed to avoid a beginning to the universe, and premise 2 still rests on the best available evidence. Next week, we'll start looking at the conclusion of the Kalam argument. The universe has a cause, and we'll ask what the evidence thus far has shown us about the nature of that cause. See you then. God bless. Hey, if you haven't joined our Patreon yet, would you mind giving it your prayerful consideration? Patreon is a way you can support the Trinity Joppa YouTube channel. We've got multiple tiers to choose from, starting as low as $2 per month. Visit www.patreon.com/TrinityJoppa for all the details. Thank you. God bless.